गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम नमः परमऋषिभ्यो नमः परमऋषिभ्यः। ओम नमः परमऋषिभ्यो नमः परमऋषिभ्यः। श्रीशैलेशदयापात्रं धीभक्त्यादिगुणार्णवं यतीन्द्रप्रवणं वन्दे रम्यजामातरं मुनिं। लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मं व्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने। अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। मातापिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम्। आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना। भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम्। शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। यस्य द्विरदवक्त्राद्या पारिषद्या परस्सतं विघ्नं निघ्नन्ति सततं विश्वक्सेनं तमाश्रये। व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्तेः पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिम्। ओम नमः सर्ववेदान्तवेद्याय परमात्मने वेदेभ्यो वेददर्शिभ्यो महर्षिभ्यो नमो नमः। निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं सुखमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुका। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव। पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुः तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरयेत्। ओम अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। जय श्रीमन्नारायण. So as part of this series we have been discussing how Krishnavataram is a very good demonstration of the various attributes that are mentioned of the Supreme Being in the Upanishads. So the Upanishads use very abstract words such as rasa, ananda, atma, jyoti, brahman, vriksha. In this way, akshara. In this way, the Upanishads use very abstract words. So it is not very clear, just based on the primary Upanishads, the principal Upanishads, who that tattva being referred to is. So just as an explanation for this, Vyasa decided to compile a Purana called Bhagavata Purana. The purpose of understanding the presence of the Supreme Being is for us to constantly, somehow or the other, meditate on him. That is the purpose of the entire Vedic literature. That is the ultimate purpose for which the entire Vedic texts have been written. That is the ultimate purpose. Today we are going to understand why that is the purpose also, to some extent. So as part of this, meditation on Brahman needs to be prescribed. But then when we try to meditate on Brahman without fully knowing how to meditate on Brahman, we will be in trouble, right? So we started there and we discussed how different names such as Rasa or Ananda or Karanam or Brahman, all these refer to Sri Krishna, right? So as part of that discussion, we took up the word Brahman and we have discussed, two aspects of this word, right? Taittiriya Upanishad describes the word Brahman as Yatova imani bhutani jayante, that from which all these beings that we are seeing come about. 𝐮𝐸𝐽𝐻𝐿, that by which all that has come about is being maintained, sustained. Now, there are two other aspects to the definition of Brahman. Yam prayanti, abhisamvisanti, right? These are the four aspects. Yatova imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yam prayanti, abhisamvisanti. Tat vijignyasasva. realize that tattva, Tat Brahma, right? That is called Brahman. So there is one entity identified with these four attributes, right? Among them, we discussed how the cause of everything, right? That from which everything is coming about is Sri Krishna himself, right? That is demonstrated using Brahma Vimohana Leela, right? We learned about that. And that by which everything is being sustained is Sri Krishna himself. This Krishna has demonstrated using the Govardhana Leela. We also learned what Govardhana really signifies. Go means sound, right? So a word, anything, any object is indicated using a sound. If you want to address a tree, right? We are calling something a mango tree. Mango tree indicates the external structure. But if we go a little further, it is indicating that structure will not stand on its own. It is standing that way because there is life force present within it. That is jiva. So the mango tree, the moment something is cut, right? The moment that jiva passes out of that mango tree, the tree is dead. At that point, a few days later, it may not even be distinguishable as a mango tree, right? Everything will start drying out. So we call it a mango tree as long as the jiva is present inside the tree. Now, that means the address called mango tree is going all the way till the jiva. But within that jiva is also another tattva, which is responsible for the sustenance of this jiva, which is holding that jiva and the prakriti together. That means that jiva is being held with that mango tree structure together by another tattva that is present inside that mango tree. That is the Paramatma. So this address has to go all the way until that Paramatma. That means you are expanding the meaning of that particular sound called mango tree, right? It's not just going only till the jiva, it's going all the way till the Paramatma. This is called Vardhanam or expansion. So Go Vardhanam means really expanding the meaning of the words of all the sounds all the way until Paramatma. This is what Krishna has displayed using Govardhana Leela. Today we are going to understand the subsequent aspect of this particular mantra in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Yam prayanti. Whom will the jivas reach when they attain moksha? That is the question. Abhisamvisanti means when there is total dissolution, into what tattva will the jivas enter? Right? Today we are going to learn about whom will the jivas attain at the time of moksha. That is the question. Yam prayanti. For this, we need to understand few things, right? 5 questions come to mind. What exactly is moksha? What is jiva's original nature? When does one attain moksha? Who does one attain at the time of moksha? Who awards that moksha? There needs to be clarity about these sorts of questions. Even before we try to understand what moksham is, we need to understand just the opposite of that. Moksha means what? Release. We all know. Moksha means liberation, release from something. When we should aspire for moksham as a goal, we need to understand that we need release from something. That means we should understand what is currently binding us, what is currently constraining us, what is currently that bondage that we are talking about. So what is bondage exactly? One bondage that we all see in our day-to-day lives is inability to execute our desires. We have so many desires. We want to accomplish so many things. We want to do so many things. But not everything that we desire will be executed, right? Inability to execute our desires. And then in our attempts to execute even those things that are likely getting executed, there are so many obstacles that are coming up in our day-to-day activities. All these are constrained, different constraints that are placed as a result of our karma. And then we are also being bound by several different reactions, such as hunger. If we don't eat anything or supply anything to the body, can we continue to work? No. So at every now and then, we have to keep supplying something to the body. So hunger is a constraint. Thirst is another constraint, right? If we don't drink water, can we sustain? Can we survive? Can we continue to do anything? No. So thirst is another constraint. Sleep is another constraint. We cannot continuously keep working. We all need rest every now and then, right? That's another constraint. Then, as we keep trying to do things, we age. With age, so many limitations start coming to our body. These are all constraints. Our ability to move freely as vigorously as we used to move during our younger days will no longer be there. Our ability to walk fast will not be there. Our ability to do things efficiently will reduce with age. These are all constraints that are building up as one ages. And then diseases keep coming every now and then, right? Everybody goes through disease. There is no question, right? Some kind of disease, even common cold or cough or anything like that is also a disease. So when such a thing comes on any person's body, again, one will be constrained. One cannot do anything during that time. One will be completely retarded during that time. And then birth is a constraint also. No one chooses where to be born, how to be born, which school to go to, which name one should get, which family one should come into, which color one should be born with, which height one should be born with, which weight one should be born with. All these are constraints. We don't get to choose these things. So all these come as constraints. Ultimately, when we try to summarize all these experiences, we are saying that not having the happiness that we desire is the ultimate constraint on all of us. All these things, if things happen exactly according to our desires, then we will be very happy. But things are not happening that way. That means we are all constrained. So what is the release that we are seeking? The release that we are seeking is there a state that will not have any of these constraints? And the entire Vedic literature says yes. That state is defined as the state called moksha, or ultimate release. Muktir moksho mahanandaha, ultimate happiness that one can get. Happiness that is unconstrained in nature. The nature of happiness in this world is that it is constrained, because all these things, we may be happy for a few seconds, suddenly something will happen. Or a few days, something might happen. Few months, something might happen. Few years, something might happen. So in this way, happiness in this world is always constrained by time, by different other things. But there is something called unconstrained happiness. Happiness in this world is interrupted, but there is something called uninterrupted happiness. Right? This unbounded, unconstrained, uninterrupted, unending happiness is really called moksha, or release, ultimate release. That is really what Mahananda is. So that the moment we hear about this as the description of moksha, can everybody say that they are aspiring for this? Everybody is aspiring for this ultimately, whether we know it or we do not know, we are aspiring for this. When we know it and we are aspiring for this, we are called mumukshus. That means someone who is aspiring for ultimate release, moksha. When we do not know, we are not called mumukshus, because we are chasing after this thing in all kinds of temporary things. We are thinking that temporary things will give this ultimate happiness, which they cannot. Their nature is such that they cannot give this ultimate happiness. So all philosophies, they agree, tattva jnana mokshaha. Moksha means tattva jnana, they say. What exactly is tattva? What is the tattva jnana? What is moksha is where different philosophies differ, right? Now, if we try to talk about us, because we are talking about us as entities that are seeking the release. So we should first of all understand why we are constrained, what is our original nature, how we came about in this form, and what is that release that we are seeking. We should understand these aspects, right? There are different views about what liberation really means. Many misconceptions and many different philosophies exist about what moksha is. Some think that moksha really means the jiva becomes identical with Brahman. Moksha means realizing that I am God, some people say. They say that moksha is not something that happens somewhere at some point. It happens right here as soon as you realize that you are God. That is moksha, they say. They don't say that moksha is a separate world or a separate place and you have to go somewhere and attain it. They don't believe in that philosophy. Okay. Some people say jiva does not exist. You are just imagining that you are existing. They say that only ultimately God alone exists. So the moment you realize that you don't exist, that itself is moksha, some people say, right? That is one other philosophy. Another concept is Jiva exists, but existence of Jiva is associated with suffering at all times. So as soon as you nullify this existence, somehow end your existence, that itself is moksha. Okay? So that's how some people believe. Moksha means ending the existence of Jiva. Because the Jiva's existence is always tied to suffering of some kind or another. So therefore, the moment you annihilate Jiva's existence, that is moksha, finally. That is the sense in which we use, right? We finally gave moksha to the cockroach or something like that because we kill a cockroach or something like that, right? So people think like that. That is the sense in which many people use. So this is why many people are even afraid of moksha. People think that it is wrong to seek moksha. They think that you are talking about something you shouldn't be talking. They associate moksha with death, right? That is this idea. Thinking that this existence is always associated with suffering. Therefore, killing oneself is ultimately moksha. So that is a very wrong conception. We are discussing all the misconceptions first. And then some people think that Jiva exists. Paramatma also exists. Moksha means Jiva is going and merging into Paramatma. At that point, the moment Jiva goes and merges into Paramatma, then Jiva will no longer maintain an independent existence of its own. Some people believe like this. So in this way, there are many different misconceptions about what Jiva is. How do we decide what is a proper conception and what is a misconception? Our authority is always Veda. Vedam Parama Pramanam. So we have to look in the light of Veda, which of these conceptions is correct. What do the Vedas declare? As far as moksham is concerned, as far as Artha Panchaka Jnanam is concerned, we talked about Artha Panchaka Jnanam in the first class. What are they? Who am I? What is the ultimate goal I am trying to accomplish? That is moksha. What will I get? What is the result if I get moksha? And what stands as an obstacle to attaining it? And if I get that result, what will happen to me? These are the 5 things, right? Now, these things are told in, we also learned about 3 kinds of texts called Prasthanatrayi texts. These are what are called as Vedanta. What are they? Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and Brahma Sutras. Bhagavad Gita is called Smriti Prasthana. Upanishads are called Shruti Prasthana. And Brahma Sutras are called Nyaya Prasthana. These are the 3 things based on which we have to decide the nature of Jiva, the nature of Paramatma, the nature of Moksha. Right? That is our source of authority, source of truth. Now let us see what is the view of Prasthanatrayi texts as far as Jiva is concerned. They very clearly say Jiva is distinct from Brahman. They say Jiva continues to exist even after attaining moksham. So moksham is not the end point. After that, there is existence for the Jiva. Jiva coexists with Brahman at that point. Right now, Jiva always coexists with Brahman. But right now, we are in a bound state where we don't realize that we exist with Brahman. There, in a physical form, Jiva exists with Paramatma. Jiva exists in its original state. That original state is a state filled with happiness. It is a state that is free from constraints. There is no more hunger. There is no more thirst. There is complete fulfillment of all desires. As soon as you think something, you can execute it. There is no more constraint at that point. Anything can be obtained in an unlimited manner at that point. In this way, the Jiva becomes constraint-free at that point. There is no more aging. There is no more old age. There is no death. There is no birth. There is no disease. That is the state called moksha. The Jiva is completely replete with all its qualities and enjoys the company of Paramatma forever. That is the state called happily ever after, right? All the Disney movies say happily ever after, finally. That happily ever after is a reality. That is the state called moksha. So now, where is the evidence that Jiva and Paramatma are not the same? Multiple Upanishads give the idea that Jiva and Paramatma are not the same. The Katha Upanishad says, Nityo Nityanam, Chetanaha Chetananam, Eko Bahunam, Yo Vidadhati Kaman. Among many eternals, Paramatma stands out as the ultimate eternal entity. That means there are multiple eternal beings. Right? Chetanas Chetananam. Among many conscious beings, there is one being that is standing out. Eko Bahunam. Among multiple beings, there is one who is standing out. Standing out for what purpose? Because the teacher asked him to stand up on the bench? No. Eko bahunam yo vidadhati kaman, who is there to fulfill the desires of everybody. That is what he is stepping up for. Right? That means there is not just one entity, there are multiple entities, even in the ultimate sense. There is another Upanishad called Mundaka Upanishad. It says, Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakhaya. It says, there is one tree called the body. On this tree, on its branch, there are two birds, Dva Suparna. Both of them are white-winged. Suparna means they both have white wings. White wings means Jnana and Anushtana. These are called the wings. Okay? They have knowledge and they also have action associated with them. Right? So there are two birds. That means within this body, Jiva and Paramatma both are acknowledged by this Upanishad. And it says, Yada Pashyati Anyam Isham. So one bird keeps on enjoying, the other bird just remains silent, and therefore it is happy. The moment this bird turns toward that bird, then this bird will become happy. That's what the Upanishad says. That's the idea there. Another Upanishad, Svetasvatara Upanishad, it says, Jñā Jñau Dvau Ajau Isha Nishau. It says, Jñā Ajñaha Dvau Ajau. There are two things which are birthless. One is Jñā, one is in knowledge, one is Ajña, one is in ignorance. Dvau Ajau Isha Anishau. One is the controller, one is not the controller, one is controlled. So even this Upanishad is saying there are two entities. And in Taittiriya statement we all have seen, right? Raso vai saha. There is some entity called Rasa. Rasag heva ayam labdhva. When ayam, this entity, attains that rasa, anandi bhavati. He becomes happy. That means there is that entity, there is this entity. When this entity attains that entity, this entity will become happy. So there are Jiva and Paramatma separately. And they are talking about Jiva becoming happy at moksha. Right? This is to be noted. Svetasvatara Upanishad also says, Bhokta Bhogyam Preritaram cha Matva Trividham Brahmametat. So there are three kinds of Brahman. One is Bhokta, one is the enjoyer. One is Bhogyam, one is the enjoyed, that is Prakriti. The enjoyer is the Jiva. And there is another thing called Preritaram, means inspirer, motivator. He who motivates the Jiva to function towards Prakriti. So there are three entities separately identified. So all these Upanishads are saying that these entities are separate. So that is the pramana of the Upanishads. They are not the same. Okay. There is another Upanishad called Chandogya Upanishad. Chandogya Upanishad also says, Esha Samprasadaha, talking about the Jiva. The Jiva is identified as Samprasadaha. Asmat Sharirat Samuthaya, giving up this body. Param Jyotir Upasampadya, attaining the supreme light. Svena Rupena Abhinishpadyate, situates itself in its own nature. That means it is talking about Jiva attaining Paramatma and then remaining in its own original nature. That means it will get back its original nature. So all these are telling that we are currently in a wrong nature, right? A false nature, which is not our true nature, right? Why Jiva and Paramatma? Why are we talking about these two entities all the time? What is the connection between Jiva and Paramatma? For us to understand what moksham is, we have to understand all these things. That's why we are talking about all these things. So let us understand what is the connection between Jiva and Paramatma. Right? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Mamevamso Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatana. Sanatana means eternally. It's not that there is a point at which this began. Forever, it has been like this. Mameva amshaha jivaloke jivabhuta. All living beings are my amshas, he says. Amsha means Shakti Vishesha, some kind of energy. All jivas are my energies, he says. This point is also, this is something that Krishna is declaring in the Bhagavad Gita. In the Vishnu Purana also, the sages discuss this, that there are three kinds of energies for Lord Vishnu. Vishnu Shakti Paraprokta Kshetrajñākya Tatha Para Avidya Karma Sanyanya Tritiya Shakti Rishyate. There are three kinds of energies. One of them is Kshetrajña. The Jiva is called Kshetrajña there. Okay. So Jiva is identified as an energy of Paramatma there also. Energy means what? What is the purpose of energy? It is supposed to serve the possessor of energy, energetic. Right? If you have some energy, what is that supposed to do? That energy is supposed to assist you. If you are not able to do anything, what will you say? I have no energy. That's what we will say, right? If we have energy, that energy assists us in doing something. So that means energy is coming of service to the person possessing that energy. This is the relationship between energy and possessor of energy. Servitude is the relationship. Okay. This point is told in a particular sloka in our scriptures. Dasa bhutaha swata sarve hi atmanaha paramatmanaha na anyatha lakshanam tesham bandhe mokshe tathaivacha. What does this mean? Dasa bhutaha swataha sarve hi atmanaha paramatmanaha. All atmas are dasabhuta, they are servants of Paramatma. Na anyatha lakshanam tesham, for them there is no other nature. Bandhe, whether in the state of bondage, mokshe, or in the state of release. So this sloka is a very interesting sloka. It says, Das, instead of saying dasaha sarve atmanaha paramatmanaha, that conveys the idea, right? It can say dasaha sarve atmanaha paramatmanaha. That means all atmas are dasas of Paramatma. Fair, the meaning is conveyed. Why again use the word bhutaha and swataha, all these things? Because it is adding additional meaning to this idea. Dasa bhutaha means the jiva's existence is defined based on it being a servant of Paramatma. That means, let's say we possess a washing machine. It occupies a substantial place in a room, right, in our laundry room. So if this washing machine has stopped working, then is there any use of that washing machine for us? No. So we consider the washing machine as existing only when it comes of use to us. Otherwise, we don't consider it as existing. When someone comes and asks, can I do laundry? We say there's no washing machine. Why do we say that? We know there is a washing machine, but it's not working. So then we say there is no washing machine. So existence is associated with coming of use. So it has to be useful. So that's a bhutaha means yato dasaha tato bhutaha. When the jiva really acts as a servant, that is when he is considered as existing. When the jiva is not even acting as a servant, then there is no use. The jiva is as good as not existing. Okay, this is point number one. Point number two, dasabhutaha swataha. Swataha means this is the original nature of the jiva. By nature, we are servants. It's not that at some point the servitude began for the jiva. By nature, we are like that. Since when did our ears start helping us in hearing? Since when did our eyes start helping us in seeing? Since when did our hands and legs start helping us in our functions day to day? For as long as we have existed, right? They are present in a very subtle form. Some people may say only at 6 weeks in pregnancy or 8 weeks in pregnancy, ears come about and all these things. But they are already there as a seed-like form. They just manifest at that point. So it's not that they were ever deprived of those things. Everything is already present in a seed-like form. The entire structure of an orange tree is already present in that orange seed. It just manifests in due course of time. So this is swataha. That means by origin, by our nature, we are like this. It's not that we have been employed as a servant of Paramatma for a reason. There is no reason why we have become like that. Or some people, it may seem like for some reason they become employed somewhere, and after that reason is over, there is no more relationship, right? In the past, people used in villages and so on, it's a very common thing. People take some loan and they are unable to fulfill that loan and they are bound as servants for a lifetime, something like that. So it is not that kind of relationship. We have not taken any loan from Paramatma. It's not that we have to pay back. It's by nature we are like that. Just like hands and legs serve the body, by nature we have to serve him. That is the way we exist. Is this true for everybody? Someone may ask. So the sloka is saying, Sarvehi Atman. For all souls, this is the case. All souls without exception. Someone may say, maybe for you, not for me. They may say, maybe you are the dasa of Paramatma, I am the dasa of some other devata. No, the sloka is saying it is true for everybody. This, Shiva himself says this sloka in the Ishvara Samhita, right? There is a sloka called Mantra Rajapada Stotra. This is a very powerful stotra, very, very important stotra. Shiva addresses this to Lord Narasimha. He says, Dasabhutaha Swatas Sarve Hyatmana Paramatmanaha. And then he says, Ahamapi te dasaha iti matva namamyaham. I am also your, all souls are your servants. Therefore, I am also your servant. Therefore, I am bowing down to you. One sloka in that Mantra Rajapada Stotram. Lord Shiva is telling this to Narasimha. So this is true for everybody, all the jivas. This is true. Okay. Na anyatha lakshanam tesham bandhe mokshe tathevacha. So at no other point, the nature is something different. At every, we cannot say that because of my fate, I became his servant. Otherwise, I used to live very nicely, right? This way people say. It is not like that. At all points, it is like that. Precisely to demonstrate, this is the core message of the relationship between Jiva and Paramatma. Precisely to demonstrate this message in the Veda, the Ramayana came about. If we look at Ramayana, for instance, it is just there to demonstrate that all jivas are dasas of Paramatma. You see, any character in Ramayana, it is ultimately serving Rama. Lakshmana, he is doing that. Bharata, he is doing that. He took the padukas, he was serving Rama. Lakshmana, he gave up everything, he left everything, and he came along with Rama to serve Rama. Shatrughna, directly he may not be serving Rama, but indirectly, through Bharata, he is still serving Rama. Hanuma, he himself declares Dasoham Kausalendrasya Ramasya Aklishta Karmana. Hanuman is also serving Rama. Sita, there is no need of mentioning. Sita Devi came to serve Rama only. When Sita Devi was asked to stay back in the palace, she said, no, wherever you exist, that is my existence. Yastvaya saha sasvargaha nirayo yastvaya vina. Right? If wherever you are present, that is heaven for me. If you are not there, that is hellish for me. She said. So she also came to serve Rama. Vibhishana, Sugriva, Guha. In this way, whatever character you see in Ramayana, all of them are just displaying servitude to Rama. So that entire literature just, and what is this Ramayana? Veda Vedye Pare Pumsi Jate Dasarathatmaje. Veda itself took birth as Ramayana. Vedaha Prachetasa Dasit Sakshat Ramayanatmanaha, says Padma Purana. Veda itself took birth as Ramayana. When the Veda Vedya, the person who is known through the Vedas, took birth as Rama, then the Veda itself took birth as Ramayana. So Ramayana is conveying the same message. In this way, whatever we see, everything is conveying the same message, that we are actually servants of Paramatma. Someone may ask, servants means what? All the time we just keep on doing chores and there's no happiness or anything like that? No. Shankaracharya, in his commentary to one Upanishad called Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, he gives a very beautiful example. He says that imagine a child who belongs to a king getting lost in a forest right in his childhood. And this child was raised by tribal people. He grew up under tribals. So he was just thinking that he's a tribal person. And he grew up like that. After many, many years, somehow again, one day the minister came to that forest. He noticed this particular person. He's fully grown up now. He resembled the king so much. And then he came and somehow inquired a few things and found out that this person is none other than the prince, supposed to be prince, who got lost many, many years ago. At that point, imagine what the reaction of that child would be. So it is not that when we say we are servants, it's not like we don't have any happiness or anything in this relationship whatsoever. A relationship is just like a father and a child. When we realize that we are the son of the Supreme Father, everything automatically belongs to us. We can be completely happy. When we try to independently enjoy, that's when we get into trouble, right? Sometimes if you see a relationship between a good master and a good servant, good employer and a good employee, as long as the employee is doing the duties, the employer will provide all kinds of benefits, or the father will, the master will give all kinds of benefits. But when the employee steps outside the boundaries and start, interfering with the employee's business, that's when he'll get into trouble. So this is what happens in the case of Jiva also. How exactly did this Jiva get caught up in this samsara? What is the reason? That question will arise next in our heart. Right? If our nature is something so happy that by default we can enjoy everything, just like the child enjoys the opulence of the king, right? Why exactly did we get into this trouble? How exactly did we get lost? Did we also get lost like that? One fine day we just slipped off from Vaikuntha and fell here. Is that what happened to us? Mahabharata, it gives a very beautiful sloka in two places, in Udyoga Parva and also in Sanat Sujatiyam. Yo anyatha santam atmanam anyatha pratipadyate kim tena nakritam papam chorena atmapaharina, it says. He who thinks of the Atma of one nature to be Atma of another nature, kim tena nakritam papam. What sin is not committed by such a person? Chorena, who is a thief. Why is he a thief? Atma apaharina. He stole himself. So there is a point at which the jiva feels that he wants to enjoy independent of God. That is the point at which the jiva starts rebelling towards God. The jiva starts to behave in a way independent of God in every way. How do we know this? How do we come to this conclusion? Because the jiva turns his attraction towards Prakriti. He wants to enjoy Prakriti. Ramayana demonstrates this in a very beautiful way. When Rama was present in the forest, Maricha came there in the form of a golden deer. He was displaying all kinds of beautiful colors and jumping and frolicking and manifesting so many shining things on his body, on his skin, and so on. Sita Devi, until that point, she was so devoted to Rama. The moment Sita Devi saw Maricha, immediately, Aryaputra, Abhiramoso, this is so beautiful. Have you ever seen how beautiful this is? She said. Immediately her attraction came towards that Maricha. What happened as a result of that? Everybody knows the story. Sita Devi got caught up in Lanka. Lanka is this samsara. Lanka is this body. Mind is Ravana. He took that Sita and he trapped her in a body called samsara. This is what Ramayana is trying to convey. At that point, the jiva chooses to get separated from Paramatma. Because of that, the jiva does not want to hear any instruction. That is how the jiva gets into trouble. Right? This thing is also demonstrated. We are discussing about Krishnavataram. So we should know where exactly this appears in Krishnavataram. There's a beautiful Leela called Damodara Leela. Demonstrates exactly what happens when we become rebellious and independent. One day, Krishna, obviously, he used to behave as a very naughty child. And Yashoda, every day her business was, early in the morning she used to wake up, because if Krishna wakes up, he won't let her do anything. So before Krishna wakes up, she has to make sure the milk is milked out of the cows. She has to boil that milk. She has to churn it, like take butter and prepare curd and all the preparations, whatever cooking she needs to do, she has to do. Back then, there was no electricity. So therefore, they used to light ghee lamps. And once they used to light those lamps, they used to do whatever they need to do. So Krishna also woke up one day when Yashoda Devi was doing this. So silently, he went and he just pulled the wick inside. So the lamp went out. Yashoda Devi, everything was blind. So she did not know what was going on. So she again tried to search everything and go and light the lamp. In the meantime, the butter was missing. She again she thought that maybe I did this, maybe I should take out the butter again. And again, she tried to do it. Again, the same thing happened. In a few seconds, again, the light went out. She thought the wind is also not coming. Where is the light blowing away from? Then she noticed that somewhere in a distance, there was this grinding stone. To that grinding stone, there was a little bit of butter stuck. Carefully, she went and saw what was going on. Krishna was feeding it to monkeys. And he was also enjoying happily. At that point, immediately, Yashoda Devi, she got very, very angry. If he asked, she would have given. Why did he do like this? He is behaving in a rebellious way as a child. He is doing all these bad things, right? So, chorena atma apaharina, right? This is what we were talking about, that we are stealing ourselves. Instead of being submissive to Yashoda Devi, he tried to steal himself, right? Steal things. So, what did Yashoda Devi do? She immediately bound him to a grinding stone. This is what Damodara Leela is conveying. So, when we become rebellious, imagine a child. As long as the child doesn't do anything naughty, parents generally let the child out and the child will keep playing outside freely. The moment the child breaks something outside, he plays cricket and he breaks the neighbor's car or something. Immediately the neighbors come and complain. Immediately the parents lock up the child saying, you don't go out, you just stay at home. Now the child starts becoming more rebellious and says that, I'm going to throw away the lamp in the house, the grinder in the house and the couch in the house and so on. Then the child will be locked up in a room if the child is even more rebellious, right? At this point, if the child, he still becomes naughty inside the room, then he will be tied to a chair. Until the child says, I want to be submissive. I'm sorry for my mistakes. Could you please let me out? They call this concept as timeout in US, right? So there is a timeout for which they're not supposed to do anything. Right? They're just locked out. So if they again start becoming submissive to the authorities, that is the parents or whoever, then they'll be slowly released. From that chair, they'll be released into that room first. If they don't break anything inside the room, they'll be released outside the room. If they behave well inside the house, they'll be sent outside the house again. They'll get back that freedom. So this thing is, Damodara Leela is telling us exactly how one jiva gets caught up in samsara. Then Paramatma is also saying, then you have to put effort for getting that liberation. You have to display that interest. If Krishna just sat there silently, who knows when Yashoda Devi would have come and released Krishna. He put some effort. And then, of course, he did something terrible again. He broke the Yamalarjuna trees and then they fell down and then Yashoda Devi came running and then she released Krishna from the grinding stone and so on. But he's also saying how when we put that effort or when we display the desire to get liberated, then ultimately we will be untied by Paramatma. So what is the solution for this then? The solution is really we have to give up the conflict with God. If we give up this conflict with God, this is the root cause of the problem. The Manusmriti, which is the book of instructions for all of us human beings, it says one thing. Yamo vaivasvato rajan yas tvayesha hridisthitaha tena ched avivadaste ma ganga ma kurungama. You don't have to go to Ganga Tiram to bath and purify yourself. You don't have to go to Kurukshetra and other holy places to purify yourself. Tena ched avivadaste. Just give up conflict with this Paramatma. Instead of addressing the root cause of the problem, we try to address the symptoms. That is what we all keep doing in this world. Yes, tvayesha hridisthitaha. There is someone who is within your heart. Just give up conflict with him. All the time he keeps telling us this is not right. This is the right way of doing. But we don't listen. We just do whatever we want to do. That conflicting behavior is causing us to get bound more and more and more and more. All these constraints are coming on top of us because of this reason. Once constraints come, we think that we have to do some puja to get rid of it. We have to do some graha dosha to get rid of it. Or we have to go to some holy place to get rid of it. We have to do something else to get rid of it. We have to do some vrata to get rid of it. In this way, we think that we have to do so many things to get rid of these problems. But really, what is the root cause of the problem? The root cause of our problem is our rebelliousness towards God. The moment we give up that thing, immediately all these constraints will be released. So that itself is what moksham is. When does one attain moksham? Who does one attain at moksham? What exactly does it mean to do this? It means that we just have to follow our dharmas. We have to start displaying submissiveness towards God again. That is what we should do first, right? So submissiveness toward God means, first of all, some duties have been assigned to us. These are called our varnashrama dharmas in this life. So once a child is on timeout, the child needs to obey the parents. That is the first step. So how do we display our obedience to Paramatma? By following our varnashrama dharmas. The Purana, Vishnu Purana says, varnashrama acharavata purushena parah puman Vishnur aradhyate pantha na anyat toshakarakaha. The only way to satisfy Paramatma is to do your varnashrama dharmas properly. What happens if we do this varnashrama dharmas? Dharmena papam apanudati, says Mahanarayana Upanishad. By following our dharma, papam apanudati, it goes away. What is papam? Paramatma's anger towards us. When we follow our dharmas, this anger will go away. Paramatma's favorable attitude towards us is really punyam. Papam means Paramatma is angry with us. That is what papam is. When that anger goes away, naturally we will get everything. So if we just follow whatever is told in the scripture, that itself becomes the first step for release. Therefore, Krishna says in the Bhagavata, Sve sve karmani abhirata samsiddhir labhate naram. Swakarmana tamabhyacha siddhim vindati manava. Just by following your own duties, man can attain perfection. Whatever dharmas have been assigned to us, we just have to do them. This is exactly what the Gopas and the Gopis did. Their duty was cow protection. That's what they did sincerely. Right? That was their daily occupation. Agriculture, farming was their daily occupation. They used to do every day very sincerely. So they have displayed who is a Gopalaka, Gopalaka means go means sound. That's what we heard, right? Sound means Veda. Gopalaka means the follower of the Veda. So that is who Gopalaka is. If we are a follower of the Veda, Krishna himself will come into our house. That is what he demonstrated by going to Gokula. Gokula is the place where Vedas are followed. So for Krishna to really walk into our lives back from whom we ran away, the only solution is first to submit to him and start doing our duties. Then we really don't have to do anything. If we just surrender to him and declare, I am yours. He himself said, Sarva dharman parityajya, mam ekam sharanam raja, hantva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma sucha. We should have faith in this one line. We don't really have to do anything to get rid of our papas. We don't have to worry, what will I do with these many papas? Can we really get rid of these papas by doing any number of things? Is it possible? It is just like a small bird trying to dry up an entire ocean with its beak. A story is told one time, a bird laid its nest on the shore, right? There is a branch, there is a tree and there is a branch on the shore, and the bird lays its eggs on the nest there. The ocean waves came and they just swept the nest away. The bird started crying, saying, my eggs went away, please give back. Samudra did not listen. And the bird got very angry. It said, if you don't give my eggs, I'm going to dry you up. And what did the bird do? The bird went and with its beak, how much water can it actually carry? It tried to take drop by drop, and it was trying to, fly back, and it was trying to drop on the other side of the beach. This way it was doing. Is this even possible? Can the bird ever do this? The bird cannot do this. But the bird displayed a sincerity in its effort. When it displayed its sincerity in its effort, this news spread from one bird to another, and so on, all the way till Garuda. Garuda got angry. And Garuda came and he warned the Samudra, saying, if you don't do it, I will dry it up. Then immediately Samudra came and he gave the eggs back, it is said. So that means by our effort, it is not possible to dry up all our sins. Our sins are like an ocean. And we have just hundreds of drops and millions of drops, billions of drops in that ocean. We cannot dry them up by any number of activities that we do. Thinking that by doing these things, something will happen is just stupidity. So we really have to surrender to Paramatma. Then he can wipe out all the sins associated with this. We just have to display our submission towards that Paramatma. Now, who is that Tattva who can actually liberate us? The same person who bound us to samsara can actually liberate us from samsara. That is the answer, right? Who is that person? Who does one attain at moksha? This is the topic for today. For this, we had to understand what was moksha. For understanding what was moksha, we have to understand what is bondage, who is getting into bondage, what is getting out of bondage, what does all that mean? That is all we have learned so far. Right? Now let us understand who does one attain at moksha, which is the topic today. Yam prayanti. Whom does one attain at moksha? The Bhagavata Purana, right from the beginning till the end, it talks about this principle. This Purana is meant for Bhagavatas, for one who wants to attain moksha. It's for such people. So it has to give examples of people who have attained moksha. Right? So there is something called Upakrama, Upasamhara, Abhyasa. If something is told as a thing in the beginning of the text, something is told toward the end of the text, and something repeatedly comes in the middle as a repeated theme, that means that is the topic of that particular text. That is how our ancient scholars used to determine what is the subject matter of any given text. If we look at Bhagavata Purana, it begins with Bhishma attaining moksha. He is on the bed. He wants to see Krishna at the time of the departure. When Krishna arrives there, he keeps telling Yudhishthira and so on that Eshavai Bhagavan Sakshat Adyo Narayana Puman. Do you know who this Krishna is? You may be thinking he's just your cousin. He is verily the Adi Narayana, the original source of this entire universe. So he wants to see that Krishna at the time of death, and so that he can attain moksha. And then systematically, Bhagavatam narrates the stories of several Bhagavatas. Bhagavatanam idam Bhagavatam. What is the story of all these Bhagavatas? It talks about the liberation of King Khatvanga in the second canto. Then Devahuti in the third canto. People like Dhruva, Prachinabar, his sons called Prachetas. Then all these in the fourth canto. Liberation of Rishabha, Bharata in the fifth canto. Chitraketu, Vrukasura, all these in the sixth canto. Prahlada in the seventh canto. Gajendra in the eighth canto. Ambarisha in the ninth canto. Then we all know it begins with Putana, Trinavarta, Shakatasura, Aghasura, Bakasura, Shishupala, Dantavaktra, Madhu, Kaitaba. And then deliverance also of devotees like Chintayanti, Muchukunda. All these stories are told in Bhagavatam. Finally, Bhagavatam ends with the moksham of Parikshit and Sukha Maharshi. So, right from the beginning till the end, Bhagavatam is talking about moksham as the theme. How different Bhagavatas attained moksham. And whom did these people attain? They all attained Narayana at the time of death. So, therefore, Yam Prayanti, whom does one attain at moksham? It is that Narayana, who appeared as Krishna, is whom they all attain. Who awards this moksham? This is the second aspect of the question. We just discussed, right? He who ties us to samsara, that person alone can pull us from samsara. There is a shloka somewhere in Skanda Purana, right? It says, Bandako bhavapashena bhavapashacha mochakaha kaivalyadaha param brahma vishnureva sanatanaha. So Skanda Purana tells us that it is only that Vishnu who is the one who binds us to samsara, and he alone can liberate us from samsara, right? Therefore, he says in the Bhagavad Gita, Daivi hyesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. Crossing over samsara on your own effort is even impossible. Mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantati. Only if you surrender to me, you can get out of this, he says. Same thing he says even in Sarvadharman Parityaja. Mam ekam sharanam braja, he is saying, if you surrender to me, surrender to me. Who is such a God who is constantly asking us, surrender to me, I'll deliver you, surrender to, I'll deliver you. It's just like a mother somehow or the other asking a child, please eat something, right? With all the care, he is actually repeatedly asking us, right? So he is the one who actually can give that moksha. And he is the one who has awarded moksha. He doesn't even see that qualification, whether someone is qualified or not. Even unqualified people like Putana's moksha was such a surprise, not just to Parikshit, it was also a surprise to Sukha Maharshi. Because Sukha Maharshi, as soon as he was born, he was running away. He said, I don't want this samsara. He was running away. Vyasa was thinking, how do I bring him back? There is a purpose for which Vyasa begot Sukha. Because he wanted good things to come out to the world in the form of Sukha, right? And his ultimate purpose was Bhagavata Purana. It had to come out through the mouth of Sukha Maharshi. But then how does he bring him back? There were some slokas that he had already written. And one of such slokas was Aho Bakiyam, Sanakala Kutam. So, Aho, what a wonder. Bakiyam means one who belongs to the same category of Bakasura, Aghasura, and so on. That is Putana. Sanakala Kutam. She came by smearing poison to her breasts. But that lady also got moksham. How compassionate the Supreme Lord must be. Is he even seeing someone's qualification for giving moksham? No. He wants his lost children back. As much as the owner of $100 note is more eager to get that $100 back than the $100. If we lost $100 on the road, the $100 will not keep searching for us. We keep searching for the $100. So the owner of all of us is Paramatma, right? That Paramatma is so eager to get back all of us. But we just have to declare that I want to be back to you. Whoever makes that declaration, whoever accepts him as the supreme being and makes that declaration, they will be given entrance back. There were so many unqualified people. Putana was one such person, right? Which of these asuras was even qualified? At least from our perspective, none of them seemed qualified. They came to give more Visham, but Putana also got deliverance. Then one may say, we just said one has to surrender, one has to give up enmity, one has to do all these things. Where did Putana do all these things? Did Putana really do all these things? Two things have to happen for moksha to happen. What are they? Niranjanam paramam samyam upayati, the Upanishad says. But punya pape vidhuya. The punya should become zero, papa should also become zero. These two things should happen. When do they happen? For Putana, how did they happen? The moment she came in contact with Paramatma, immediately her papa karma and punya karma became zero. Because that is the nature of contact with Paramatma. She could see that this person is the origin of everything. She could see that this person can destroy the entire universe. She could see that he is the supreme being. She was even doubtful, suspicious whether she could even accomplish the task given to her. Then he made her do the task because he was eager to give moksha to her. He inspired her by closing his eyes. That's when, just like a normal child, he behaved. Then she thought, okay, now I can take this child into me, and she started giving milk. So he himself helped her do the task because she already realized who he is. The moment she realized who he is, immediately her Papa Karma got destroyed and Paramatma gave her moksha. So just that contact with Paramatma is enough to give moksha to anybody. There is another vrittanta that happens in the Mahabharata, in Krishnavataram. There is a pishacha called Ghanta Karna means someone who has bells tied to his ears. Why does he have bells tied to his ears? Because he does not want to hear the name of Hari. If anybody says ha, immediately he shakes like this because he just does not want to hear the name of Hari. So this person, he was a pishacha. Pishachas, bhuta, preta, pishachas, all these generally, they take shelter of Lord Shiva because he is in charge of tamoguna in the universe. So this pishacha, one day he came to Lord Shiva. He said, if you are pleased with me, please grant moksha. Shiva said, that is not possible. He said, Mukti Pradata Sarvesham Vishnureva Nasamsayaha. There is only one person who can actually give moksha. Mukti Pradata Sarvesham. For everybody, there is only one person who can give moksha. Who is he? Vishnureva. Only Vishnu can give that. Nasamsayaha. There is no doubt about this. So what should you do? I cannot give you that, but I'll give you a solution for it. You please go to that Vishnu. He is going to come here to Kailasa in some time. You please wait here. On his way, he is going to visit Badarikashrama and he is going to come. So you please catch hold of him and you ask moksha, he'll give you. This Lord Shiva said. Now, because Lord Shiva gave this promise, Krishna immediately realized, okay, now I have to go there. So he came to Badarikashrama. After some time, not exactly immediately, but in due course of time, he came to Badarikashrama. These Pisacha, along with other Pisachas, they were roaming about in Badarikashrama at that point. So Krishna, one day, he just visited Ganga Tira, and then after that, he just sat down and he wanted to meditate for some time. And then as he was meditating, the evening came, and suddenly he started noticing all kinds of disturbing sounds and all these things happening around him. This is what Pishachas do. And after some time, all kinds of lights and bright lights and all these things came around him. Then he opened his eyes and saw what was going on. He said, I'm a Pisacha. And Krishna said, I'm Krishna. And now he immediately realized, oh, you are Krishna. You are the person that I have to ask. So therefore, he immediately caught hold of his feet and he said, I want moksha. And Krishna asked, why do you want moksha? What do you do? What do you do with moksha? He said, I don't know. I just want moksha. And Krishna asked him, what qualification do you have? He said, I don't even like to chant the name of Hari. I don't even like to chant your name, but I want moksha. And this is an extreme example of how Krishna can be so compassionate. So he just caught hold of the feet. He said, I'm not going to let you go anywhere. Shiva said, ask you, I'm asking you. I want moksha. He said, you don't even like chanting my name. Moksha is that place where everybody wants to enjoy with me. What will you do by coming there? He said, I don't know. He said, you are compassionate. You please give that moksha to me. I'm done with this samsara. You please give me moksha. Krishna said, all right, I'll give you moksha, but you go to Swarga for some time. You enjoy there. And then after that, you come to moksha, he said. So he said, after this Ghanta Karna did not keep quiet. He said, I want moksha for my brother also. What Krishna said, what is this? You said you also don't have any love towards me. You don't even like my name. No, you are asking me to give your brother also. What is the reason? He said, because he doesn't even know that moksha is beneficial for him. I'm asking on his behalf. So and Krishna thought, okay, I finally found one good quality in this guy. So he said, okay, I'm giving you moksha. I'm also giving your brother moksha. So this is how compassionate Krishna can be. Therefore, in the Harivamsa, Lord Shiva says, 𝐮𝐸𝐴 mokshadata, pointing to Lord Krishna. When he comes to Kailasa, he says, he's so compassionate that he can award moksha to anybody. This confidence we should have. This is what the Puranas say. Arogyam bhaskaradicchet, shriyamichet hutasanaha, shankara jnanam anvichet, mokshamicchet janardanaha. The same point Krishna, Lord Shiva also says to Markandeya Maharshi. In the next session, we will talk more about Markandeya Maharshi. Markandeya Maharshi, we all know the story of Markandeya Maharshi. He was blessed with very short lifespan and death was about to come to him very soon. And he knew exactly the date of his death also. He was about to turn 16 or something like that, and death was about to come. Immediately what he did was, he went and hugged Shivalinga like this. Very, very tightly, he went and hugged it. And Yama, he came on his bull to snatch away the life of Markandeya. And Yama could not do anything. This person was not leaving Shivalinga at all. He was so tightly hugging Shivalinga that Yama could not do anything. And then Shiva finally appeared and he said, "You please go. I want to save my devotee." Because he took shelter of Shiva. Now Shiva has to help. And Shiva blessed him with long life. After some time, Markandeya also naturally he learnt Vedas and he learnt everything and so on. And then he continued praying to Shiva for a long time. He just continued because Shiva saved him. He was so grateful and satisfied in his heart, and he started praying to Shiva. After some time, he asked, "Please give me," after studying the Vedas, Vedanta and so on, he finally realized and he said, "Please give me a way. I want to get out of samsara. Please suggest a solution." And then he just said, Shiva said to Markandeya Rishi, he says, "Aham bhoga prado vatsaha mokshadastu janardanaha." See, I can give you all kinds of bhogas in samsara. What you are asking for is moksha. You please approach Janardana. Pray to him. He is going to give you. And then Markandeya Maharshi, it is said that he prays for almost 7 kalpas, 7 manvantaras, for a substantially long time, because he got blessed with a very long life. Then what exactly happens, we will continue in the next session. So we will stop today here. Okay, so we have answered Yam Prayanti. Whom do jivas attain at the time of moksha? It is Narayana alone. That Narayana is the same one who came as Krishna, and he is awarding moksha to any person he sees. That is the purpose of every avatara. Wherever, whichever avatara he takes, he just wants to liberate people. That is why he is coming again and again. Okay, with this we will conclude here. We are almost out of time. Om Haraye Namaha. Om Haraye Namaha. Om Haraye Namaha.
Jai Sriman, Jai Sriman. Adbhutam, Adbhutam. Yam Prayanti. Wonderful, with a lot of good examples of stories from Kanta Karna and also from Shiva. Wonderful stories. And you really consolidated in the beginning for everybody to be connected with all the previous talks too. It was wonderful, Swami. And with a bonus we are getting from Raghav Swami. So Monday we'll be having another session with for the Markandeya story and with some questionnaires and answers. And everybody, I want to inform you all, from Tuesday onwards, which is American Tuesday and Indian Wednesday, we'll be having Mahabharata. So Bhagavatam will be concluding now. So Mahabharata will start with Sabha Parva, our great scholar and principal and whatnot, Vedanta, our Swami, Dr. Samudra Rangaramanja Swami Varu from Jiva. So he'll be giving us Sabha Parvam Pravachanam. Adi Parvam will be finished by Kandara Swami. So please note down. We will also announce it on Monday too. And this is so nice of Raghav Swami to make us enjoy for this 1 hour in the nectar of Krishna Tattvam. It's been a long time with lots of days of Rama and Mahabharata going on for almost close to 8 months or 9 months. Getting back to Krishna is a different feeling. Thank you so much, Swami.
Thank you.
We're going to open the lines for you. Please, everybody, anybody wants to share something, it will be really encouraging, and to Swami also. Jai Sriman Narayana.
జయ శ్రీమన్నారాయణ స్వామి. నాకు ఎప్పుడు ఆల్వేస్ డౌట్స్ ఏమిటంటే, ఇప్పుడు మీరు వర్ణ ఆశ్రమ ధర్మాలు అన్నారు. వర్ణ ఆశ్రమం అంటే నేను వైష్ణవ కుటుంబంలో పుట్టా, కానీ చేసేదంతా ఆపరేషన్స్, పేషెంట్ కేర్, ఆల్వేస్ టచింగ్ బ్లడ్ అండ్ ఫ్లూయిడ్స్. సో వాట్ ఈస్ మై వర్ణాశ్రమ ధర్మం ఫర్ మీ? And how am I going to at all get mukti at all? Of course, I will say Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu always. But I'm not following my Varnam or Ashramam or Dharma or anything like that. So what is it now? Where do I go? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So this is a very good question. Many people get this doubt these days because
It comes back to even to Raghav Swami, because he is not doing anything in that. He's just doing the IT job.
అంటే ఇది ఇప్పుడు ప్రస్తుతానికి మనకి ఇది ధర్మం అవుతుందేమో. అది చెప్పండి సార్, చెప్పండి.
So dharmalu, these are of two types. One is Vaidika dharmas and Laukika dharmas. So generally speaking, Vaidika dharmas, whatever is told, if we are a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Sudra or Brahmachari or Grihastha or Vanaprastha or Sannyasi, appropriate to the phase of life we are in and appropriate to whatever group we are born into, we have certain dharmas. So the Vedas tell us in terms of what we need to do. They are, doing our Sandhya Vandana and worship of God and teaching others about Shastra and reciting Shastra and some of these things. So these fall under Vedika dharmas, Vaidika dharmas. And along with this, there are certain dharmas that we do periodically or occasionally. These are Nitya karmas. There are also Naimitika karmas, which we do, like Vivaha Samskara or Upanayana Samskara or something like that. So these are our occasional dharmas. So when it says dharmas, these are the primary dharmas that Veda is talking about. And other kinds of dharmas include dharmas toward our relations, toward elders, toward teachers, and so on. These may be really common, whether it's ancient time or modern time, right? They are respecting our teachers, being obedient to them, and doing our service to our parents, elders, teachers, and those who are unable to do it themselves, and so on. And then Laukika acharas may change depending upon time, place, and circumstance. And from time to time, the Vedas say that at that time for Brahmanas and so on, there is no necessary occupation or anything like that in terms of earning. But right now, for someone to sustain themselves, they cannot say they'll just go from house to house begging and cannot expect everybody to give them alms and sustain based on that. It is an impossible thing because situations and circumstances have changed. The societal framework has changed completely. So we may have to do whatever is needed by us. In fact, for the sloka, Yajñarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha, sloka 3.9, Bhagavad Ramanuja, in his commentary, he clearly says, to do whatever yajñas we have to do, whatever we may have to do, earning so that we may be able to do our duties and offering them to Paramatma will not be considered a sin. But when we step outside our boundaries to not be satisfied and display greed in how we are trying to earn so that we can earn more and more and more and more, completely forgetting who we are earning it for, what kind of duties we have to do with that money and so on, that's when we are stepping outside the boundaries. So earning so that we can actually do, nowadays we know that for doing any activity, to conduct a vivaha, it will take a substantial amount of money. Even to conduct a death ceremony or a birth ceremony, it will take a substantial amount of money. For any activity, it will take substantial amount of money. So without earning, where will that money come from? So it is nothing wrong for us to get engaged in modern occupations so that there is a source of income, there is a sustained source of income. But when we put that income to good use in service of Paramatma, then we are discharging our duties.
అది కరెక్ట్. అంటే బాగా చెప్పారు అనుకోండి. బట్ ఈవెన్ అవర్ ఆచార్యాస్ డోంట్ కమ్ టు us if you don't have enough money, because only people that have it can give. Of course, that's the nature of the world. జై శ్రీమన్నారాయణ స్వామి. వీటికి అంతు లేదు డౌట్స్ కి. వెరీ గుడ్, వెరీ గుడ్. అంటే ఏమవుతుందంటే మనకి చిన్నప్పుడు కూడా ఈ సంస్కారాలు ఉన్నాయి సరే, సంధ్యావందనాలు ఇవన్నీ ఎప్పుడో పెళ్లి పొద్దున్నే 3 కంటే 2 లేపేసి గబగబా ఏదో చేసేసారు. అందుకని సంధ్యావందనం కూడా సరిగా తెలియదు. దట్స్ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ది ప్రాబ్లం. మీకు వినిపిస్తుందా? ఫ్రీజ్ అయిపోయింది ఏమిటో. What happened?
He's listening to it.
Okay. అంటే ఏమిటంటే ఇవన్నీ దీస్ ఆర్ ది karmas that we are going through now because of the society, whatever. You all know it. This is nothing new. అందుకని ముక్తి అంటే అనగానే I don't understand how am I eligible? Are we eligible?
As long as we are definitely eligible, because when we are like earning the money so that we can do our dharmas, like you said, even whether we are serving our acharyas or doing it for service of Paramatma, constructing temples, we are giving money for doing all these things. And we are doing our Vedic duties, which may be, very simple things that are needed of us.
Yeah.
As long as we are engaging in these broad occupations, we are still considered eligible. At least that is my understanding.
That's nice to hear. That's very nice. Very good. That's all. Jai Sriman.
Jai Sriman.
Jai Sriman. Anyone else? Anyone else want to talk, share some views?
Jai Sriman, just wanted to say it was a very, very beautiful and engaging session, as always, by Raghav Swami. I am in Minneapolis, so I did listen to a few pravachanams from Swami, but every pravachanam just is always sets the bar so high. అంటే మోక్షం అనేది ఒక వెరీ సింపుల్ కాన్సెప్ట్, లైక్ వి ఆల్ నో అని నాకు ఒక అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ఉందని ఈ రోజు దాకా నేను అనుకున్నాను. కానీ ఈ రోజు సెషన్ విన్నాక ఐ రియలైజ్డ్ వాట్ ఎవర్ ఐ న్యూ was like very one-sided. It didn't even wasn't even the right thing anamata. So I was very amazed at ante oka chinna moksham gurinchi ane very understandable concept kada, but I was very amazed how Raghav Swami took many references and pointed us to the right thing. So very engaging and very enlightening session, Swami. Thank you so much.
మోక్షం చిన్నది కాదు కదండి, మోక్షం is the biggest thing.
అంటే మోక్షం బిగ్ థింగే కానీ లిబరేషన్ అని అనుకుంటాం కదా అడియన్, లైక్ ఒక జీవాత్మ లిబరేట్ అయిపోతే వెళ్ళిపోతుంది పరమాత్మకు అనుకుంటాం కదా. కానీ అలా అంటే లిబరేషన్ వచ్చేస్తుంది అంటే మరకట నీతి మార్జాల నీతి టైప్ లో, అంటే స్వామే వచ్చి నేను మంకీలా ఎగురుతూ ఉంటే నన్ను తీసుకెళ్లిపోతారు. నాకు అర్థమైపోయింది, ఒక అండర్స్టాండింగ్ వచ్చింది అనుకున్నాను ఇన్ని రోజులు. కానీ రాఘవ స్వామి చెప్తూ ఉంటే అంటే అసలు మోక్షం అంటే ఇది అని నాకు ఒక అండర్స్టాండింగ్ వచ్చింది అనమాట. అంటే వాట్ ఈస్ దట్ వాజ్ రైట్ స్వామి. ఇట్ ఇస్ అ వెరీ సింపుల్ కాన్సెప్ట్ బట్ యట్ హైలీ మిస్అండర్స్టూడ్ కాన్సెప్ట్. సో యా, థ్యాంక్ యూ ఫర్ క్లారిఫైయింగ్ స్వామి.
థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Let's wrap it up అండి, టైం బాగా అయిపోయింది. Okay. So we'll meet again. The concluding session from Raghav Swami will be on Monday. Don't miss it. And with Markandeya's story and some more concepts also he'll be putting before us. He has got good amount of time to make more material for us in the weekend. So be ready, beware. Advaita Siddhanta Prachareka Viharine Srimanarayanaacharya Swamine Nityamangalam Yavat Prapancha Sampuja Charanaya Mahatmane Srimanarayanaacharya Sirajaya Mangalam Mangalashasana Paraihi Padacharya Purogamaihi Sarvaischa Purvairacharyahi Satkutaya Mangalam Om Asmadgurubhyo Namaha. Jai Sriman.
Jai Sriman.
Jai Sriman. Jai Sriman.